What is going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another fantasy football video. Today, we are going to talk about why both Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun Watson are terrible, absolutely terrible picks for you to make in your leagues. Before we get into why that is, let's start off with the stat of the day. And how about yesterday's stat of the day answer? It was, what running back, 11th in breakaway percentage and 4th in elusiveness rating, is also a pretty good mid-round pick? The answer goes to one Nikhil Gupta, getting on the board with his second correct answer. The answer is Marshawn Lynch. So we got two people now. Two people who have gotten two correct. I know that won't stand. We've got the rest of the summer for you guys to duke that out. But let's get some more people. So today we're talking about quarterbacks. So obviously, let's do another quarterback stat. I know we did one on Thursday, but you know what? It's a quarterback episode, so we're going to do a quarterback stat. This one's a bit obscure, but let's be honest, there's only so many quarterbacks, so you guys got to be quick. What quarterback had the most balls batted down or deflected? So the most batted balls. They throw the ball to any receiver, ball gets batted down. Who had the most during last season? First one to get it right gets on the board. I haven't been keeping track, I'm not going to lie, so I know who's at 2, but I'm going to have to go back and watch all the videos to put it on the Excel spreadsheet. And remember, if you guys want to know all of these stats, because they're cool, it's fun to look up all these stats, and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stats that we could come up with every single day and we could just keep going. We could just keep going forever. There's so many stats on Pro Football Focus. If you want an account on Pro Football Focus, link in the description box down below. $5 off Edge, $20 off Elite. Same deal as we were getting you last season. But obviously, don't go to the site and then pay full price. Use the link, use the promo code that we have in the description, and get the discount. Don't be paying full price for something you don't have to. On to the video. Aaron Rodgers. We're gonna do this in order of ADP, I guess. So I'll talk about Rodgers and then I'll talk about Watson. The case is very strong, very, very strong for Watson. The case for Rodgers is not that Rodgers is bad by any means. It is not that Watson's bad either. I am not going to argue with anyone that Aaron Rodgers is not the number one ranked quarterback in the league for fantasy football. I have him ranked number 1. I think almost everyone does, because he should be ranked number 1. He should be the first quarterback off the board. But no one is a sure thing. The argument that people brought up last year was, well, we know he's going to be a top 3 quarterback. Well, no, we don't. We know nothing. Nothing is a certainty. There is variance in every single sport, especially football. He was held under 4,000 passing yards in 3 of the past 5 seasons. Quarterbacks can get hurt, especially when they're mobile quarterbacks. So no one is a sure thing. This is his first season without Jordy Nelson. I'm not saying he's going to be bad. I'm saying there are risk factors with every single position. And if you try and take one of your first few round picks and make it a quarterback and already limit your upside with running backs and wide receivers, and then that player busts, your team is significantly behind the field. Like I said, Rodgers is the number 1 quarterback. But how many times have you guys told us, or have we told you, about the importance of the first 4 rounds? 4 rounds in particular. We see the drop off in the 5th round, the rise in the 6th round, and then just tanks after that. You want to do whatever you want, 7th round and on, go for it. You want to reach on players, go for it. If you really like a quarterback, sure. I still think it's a bad pick, and we'll get to that with the Watson section. There are plenty of quarterbacks you can get in the 13th, 14th round, going undrafted. They're going to be fine for you. But don't waste these first 4 rounds. You have such a better chance of hitting on those cornerstone pieces of your team. The running back and the wide receiver are so important, especially in a standard scoring format. You need to hit on running back. Need to. The value of hitting on running back is so immense. If you look at the chart between running backs and wide receivers, double that. It's that for quarterbacks. But even in PPR leagues, you need to hit on running back and wide receiver. So you're going to spend a top 4 pick, your best chance at getting one of these players, on a quarterback when you could hit on that in the 13th round? It just doesn't make any sense. You're getting the 16th, the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th best quarterback in the draft on draft day. It is so close in expected value of the 7th and 8th quarterback that it's just not worth drafting anyone except for the guys at 16, 17, 18, 19. It's just not worth it. If you stream quarterback, you pick up the 16th best quarterback. You pick up Winston, who's the guy, he's the guy that you draft this year. You draft Jameis Winston in the later rounds. You pick him up. He disappoints you a few weeks. He has some tough matchups. You stream. You can get top 5 quarterback production. You can get probably 5 or 6. That's generally what it comes out to. Quarterback 6 on average, but if you get lucky, you can get quarterback 4 to 5. If you just play the matchups. You pick up the Blake Bortles of the world who just go off at the end of the season. It's just so easy to play the waiver wire on quarterbacks. I want to share something else with you. So the quarterback position, we think, well, yeah, but if I hit on number 1, it's great. Okay, it's great when you hit on Peyton Manning's 55 touchdown year. Yeah, okay, that's awesome. Okay, I'm not going to deny that. But how often does that happen? For a quarterback to be worth a 3rd round pick, he needs to have that type of season. And betting on that isn't smart. We look back to last season. You can find on ESPN, it's pretty much the same on whatever site you use, but at the end of the year, these sites post the percent of championship teams certain players were on. So for most teams, it was Alvin Kamara, or for most formats, it was Alvin Kamara at the top, Todd Gurley next, and then kind of trickled down from there. So the percentage of championship teams different players were on. Last year, Russell Wilson was the quarterback on the most championship teams. He was the 18th most common player when you include all of the positions. 18th. Quarterback matters so much less than people are willing to believe. They think they need a top 3 quarterback to win. No, you need a top 3 running back to win. That's just the simple fact. You need that. You do not need a top 3 quarterback because, to be completely honest, at the end of the day, it comes down to championship week. It doesn't really come down to during the season. So if you find that quarterback that's hot off of waivers, or you find that quarterback that has a fantastic matchup, that's how you win. It's not by drafting Aaron Rodgers in the 3rd round. And think back to want to talk about DFS. Best players in the world playing DFS. How do you construct a cash game lineup? Well, you save at quarterback. You spend up at running back because that's the most predictable. Well, quarterback's really the most predictable, but it's the most predictable over an even space. So the variance is very small for quarterback. A fantastic week could net you 23 points, and a mediocre week can net you 19. They're just so similar. But you spend up at running back. You get the wide receivers you want, and then you save at quarterback. If that's the strategy to get 135 points each week, why aren't we doing it in season long in our drafts? Ultimately, that is the case for Aaron Rodgers. It's not worth spending a top 4 round picks when those are your best chances to hit. It's just not worth it. With the abundance of quarterbacks late, and what is value? Why are things valuable? It's about scarcity. Think back to economics, all right? Think back. I know you guys probably didn't like that class, but why do things have value? Well, it's because they may be scarce, or we may not be able to find that product or that service somewhere else. That's what makes something valuable. Someone offers a service that we can't get easily somewhere else. But if they offer a service that we can easily get somewhere else, well, then they're not as valuable. And Aaron Rodgers is giving us a service that we can easily find for a much cheaper price. So why are we paying for Aaron Rodgers? It just doesn't make sense. So that's the case for Aaron Rodgers. The case for Deshaun Watson is twofold. It's that on Fantasy Football Calculator, he's going 1 pick behind him. That won't happen when drafts come around. I don't think. At least I don't think people are that irrational. Maybe they are. But I don't think that'll be the case. I think he'll go probably in the 4th round. But that's just as crazy. Fantasy points per dropback last season, he had 0.67. The next most was 0.54. Well, that's a pretty easy case for regression. But where did it come from? Maybe he's just having a really good season. Every single game was evenly distributed. Weeks 4 through 7, the man had 17 touchdowns over a 4-week stretch. In those 4 weeks, Will Fuller had 7 touchdowns on 13 receptions. That will never happen again. I can promise you that's not going to happen. TJ Hernandez had a fantastic stat about Deshaun Watson. Go on Pro Football Reference. Look at his touchdown rate. 9.3% touchdown rate. That is the second highest since the merger of quarterbacks with at least 200 attempts. He had 19 touchdowns on 204 pass attempts. That is legitimately the most unsustainable stat I have ever seen. If you bump that down to Aaron Rodgers level production, touchdowns on a per attempt basis, he's like quarterback 6 or 7. And if we assume perhaps, that Deshaun Watson isn't as good as Aaron Rodgers, let's just throw that through our mind. Maybe he's not as good as Aaron Rodgers, who's a top 3 quarterback in the league, probably top 2. Then it's even lower. And we're drafting him as the second best quarterback. Our number one job is to identify players who overperformed what they should have done and will regress towards whatever their true mean is. Deshaun Watson had a 4-game stretch that was 3, 4, 5 standard deviations away from where he actually is as a player. It is very, very likely, Hernandez pointed this out, very, very likely that we have seen the best stretch of Deshaun Watson's career. Very likely that we have already seen that, because that is multiple standard errors away from the mean. There is no way that is the player Deshaun Watson is, or he might be the greatest quarterback of all time. You cannot draft this man as the quarterback 2 in the 4th round, because not only should you not be drafting a quarterback in the 4th round, you should not be drafting a quarterback who's going to clearly regress. Why are we pointing at Matt Ryan after his amazing season? We pointed at him and we said that's the worst pick in the draft, because people think that's going to happen again. People think that we just saw Matt Ryan years and years and years in a row all of a sudden produce a data point when we had no idea that was coming. Nothing really changed. All of a sudden produces a data point that's just so much higher than we've seen from normal quarterbacks, even like great quarterbacks, and from him. And all of a sudden we're making decisions thinking that that's going to happen again, when it's just an outlier. Deshaun Watson had an outlier stretch of a few weeks. You can't draft him. We have him currently as quarterback 7, and I think that's a fair ranking for Deshaun Watson. Here are some of the quarterbacks that are projected within 30 points of this man. Within 30 points, so less than 2 points per game. These are quarterbacks going 7 rounds later. 7 rounds after him. Big Ben, Stafford, Winston, Mariota, Smith, Mahomes, Jimmy G. All of them are going 7 rounds after and are projected with less than 2 points per game of him. If you draft Watson, you can't stream at that point. You're going to tell me you're not going to start him? No, you have to play him every week. So now he's a bad matchup. You have to play him. Whereas if you draft someone in the last round, you can stream. It's not costing you anything. You should stream. Play the matchups. But you can't. How about some quarterbacks that are actually going behind him that are projected for more points? So these are quarterbacks going rounds after him that are projected to outscore him. Newton, Brady, Wilson, Wentz. All projected to outscore Watson, but are going sometimes rounds after him. Don't draft Rodgers. don't draft Watson. It's a pretty easy call to make, and yet I see a lot of people asking the question or posting teams that have one of them on. Don't dig yourself into a hole on your third pick after wasting the whole summer. I won't say wasting. After spending the exciting summer researching fantasy football, and then you're going to waste it on an awful third or fourth round pick. Don't do that. You guys watch this channel, so I'm sure you won't. But that's the case. That is the case, and I really do not think there is a case against it. I think it's bulletproof. I do not think you should even consider drafting either of the two of them. So that's the end of this video. Hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, how about we smash that like button? How about we subscribe if we are new? Thanks for watching.